Welcome everyone to the EzzyBills webinar today. My name's Michael and I'll be presenting the webinar. Before I start, I think I'll just give a quick introduction of what EzzyBills is. EzzyBills is an invoice processing system and it's a web-based service. And most of what we do is process bills, but we also process sale invoices. So if I just give you a quick overview of how EzzyBills works. So I'm going to upload a bill into EzzyBills. Typically these bills are emailed in, but you can drag and drop them as well. You upload it into EzzyBills. We extract the details off the bill, identify the supplier, the account codes, payment terms, everything, and we create the bill in the accounting system. It takes about 20 seconds to do that. And we support a whole host of other things as well, such as approvals, expense claims, expense reimbursements, and spend money transactions like credit card transactions linked. So the purpose of the webinar today is actually to demonstrate two of those features, which is the expense processing features of EzzyBills. So if we have a look at the bill that I just uploaded, it was processed in about 20 seconds and I've pushed it into Xero, which is what this account is linked to. And so the bill has been pushed into Xero and we've done the account coding, etc. And if you have a look here, you'll see that it's gone into bills to pay. So it's come in as a bill. However, you can also, EzzyBills can also push the transactions into a spend money transaction. And so I'm going to show that as well. And that's the purpose of this webinar. So when you have an expense, if you have a company and you've got expenses, generally these expenses fall into two categories. There's the employees have got their own credit card or company credit card, and they would go out, maybe they're on a road trip and they've purchased items using that company credit card. And so you would like those transactions to be linked directly to that credit card when it comes into Xero or QuickBooks, so that when the bank feed comes into QuickBooks and Xero, you'd be able, it automatically match up. So that's one form of expense management, which is through the company credit card. The other way is as an expense claim. So these are cases where the employee might spend his own money on a variety of things, and the company is not too interested in what he's spent. What they're interested in is actually reimbursing him for that money that was spent. And so the employee would go out and use the money. Maybe he's traveling somewhere. He's used his own cash to purchase a variety of things. And so those receipts, you want those receipts to come in to QuickBooks or Xero in a way which allows the company to reimburse it, those expenses to him. And so that's the other one which we'll cover. So the first one I will show you is how we handle the case of an expense which was on a company credit card. So this is a transaction which will be linked against something, a bank account in Xero or QuickBooks. So what I'm going to do is capture a photo of a receipt using the EzzyBills app. So let me do that now. So what I've done is I've submitted an invoice into EzzyBills via the mobile app, which is linked to the Visa card in EzzyBills. So let me show you how that works. So if you go into the settings in EzzyBills, you can see there's a list of approvers. So I've gone and created an approver, in this case, Visa. And I've put in the last 4 digits of the business bank account, which is the bank account which is in Xero, which it might be a credit card. So I've put in the last 4 digits. And so this here represents a way to get a transaction into Xero as a spend money transaction linked against that bank account. So if I go back to EzzyBills, you'll see that that's exactly what's happened. That transaction has gone into EzzyBills. EzzyBills has detected that it was linked to that credit card, and it's pushed it into Xero against that bank account. So you can see here now, instead of it coming in as a bill to pay, it's come in as a spend money transaction against this bank account. Now, the other scenario I'm going to cover is the case of an expense claim. So in this situation, the employee is spending his own money, and you want that transaction to come into Xero as a bill from the employee for payment. So the way to do that is you would set up in EzzyBills once again. So if we go back into EzzyBills, go into settings, you'll see here I've created an approver called Jeff. And in this case, Jeff is marked as for my expenses. So when Jeff submits an invoice into EzzyBills, it'll get processed as an expense claim or money to be paid to Jeff. So I'll do that now. So I've now submitted the expense claim for Jeff. Let me show you while that's being processed. Let me show you how you configure the mobile app. So if you want to use the mobile app to submit these expense claims or spend money transactions or receipts, then you'll download the app from the App Store, either the Android App Store or the iPhone App Store, and you would go into settings and you would add an alias name, and that alias name corresponds with the approver name. So in this case, it was Jeff M who's submitting the expense claim. So I'd put Jeff M into the settings of the mobile app and take the photo, and then it would come into EzzyBills as an expense claim, or in this case, as an expense claim. So if we open it up in Xero, you'll see that even though this is a receipt for a purchase that was made at a cafe, because Jeff wants it processed as an expense claim, he's configured the app to submit it into Xero as an expense claim. So it would come in to Xero. EzzyBills would have created a supplier called Jeff M if it didn't already exist, and created the bill to pay. And so, and he might have multiple expenses, multiple receipts that he's captured. And so what would happen is at the end of the month, when the bills are paid, Jeff would receive payment for that bill. In addition to using the mobile app, you can also use the email alias. So all approvers also have an alias associated with it. So in the case of the Visa, we would email the bill or the receipt to your EzzyBill name approver name, which in this case is visa@ezzybills.com, or do the same for the expense claim. So you can upload either via the mobile app or via email to one of the email aliases that was set up, which I explain right here. So that covers most of what I wanted to talk about today. There's one other thing which I'll cover, which is approvals, which is another thing that EzzyBills is often used for. So if I come in here into settings and enable approval workflow, and I won't set a default, save settings. Now I'm going to upload a bill. Into EzzyBills. So this time the bill's going to come into EzzyBills. It'll take about 10 seconds to extract the data. And then because I've enabled approval, so you'll see here, I've enabled single level approval. So it's going to go for approval before it goes into the accounting system. And so you can see it's waiting for approval now. So this approval could go either to a default approver via email, or it might sit in EzzyBills waiting for someone to approve it. So the bills come in here. I can view the bill and I can approve it from here. Or alternatively, I could have somebody else approve it. I could select the bill or select multiple bills, and I could choose for someone else to approve the bill. And so that bill's now been sent to someone for approval. Another thing you can do in setting is if it's a case of people tend to be approving the same supplier bills or the same amounts, then you can enable approval learning, and that will automatically work out based on the history who should be approving the bills. So I'm just going to have a look at the bill that's waiting approval. So you can see the bill has come in here waiting approval. So I'm just going to approve the bill. And so the bill has been approved. And you'll see now straight away it's been pushed into Xero. And there's also an audit trail if you have a look in Xero. There's an audit trail which tells you who approved the bill. So it was approved. And so that covers everything I wanted to cover today. If anyone has any questions, they can submit them to the Q&A and I'd be happy to answer them. Okay, I had a question here about duplicates. So yes, EzzyBills supports duplicate detection. So you'll see in settings down the bottom there, you can enable duplicate checking. And effectively what that means is when a bill comes into the accounting system, we check to see if that bill already exists based on the supplier invoice number pair. And if it does, we will stop it from going into Xero. If you have multiple copies of that bill in EzzyBills, it doesn't matter. We're only interested in what's in your accounting system. So if there's a copy in Xero, then we wouldn't create another copy in Xero. So the question about can a manager approve expense claims? The answer is yes. So an expense claim coming through EzzyBills is just like a normal bill, which can go through approval. So the simplest thing to do would be to come down here. So in the case of Jeff M, I had approvals disabled. So I'm going to re-enable approvals. I'll just save that. And so what I'll do is I'm going to submit again that claim by Jeff into EzzyBills. And what will happen is it's going to go to, in this case, Lee for approval before it goes in. So that's how you can do the approvals before they go into the accounting system. A question about the a recording of the webinar. Yes, we'll put up the webinar on our website in the next few hours. A question about view approve invoices. So I think when you're in, so this is the expense claim that's gone to Lee for approval. So that's how a manager you can set it up so a manager has to approve all expense claims for employees. So it will always go straight through to that approver. And you would see, I'll show you the email. So you'd see this email here. So an expense claim for Jeff. This is what the approver is going to see, and they could add a note to it, which is going to show up in Xero in that log that I showed you, or they can approve or reject it. So there's a question about view approve. So you see there's a view approve here, there's also a search approve here. They're actually linked, they're the same. So that there goes into exactly the same place as search approve. So there is no difference between the two. But there's another view approve invoices down here. It's just a different view into the invoices, but typically you wouldn't use that. You would just use this page for all approvals, viewing, etc. What we'll do, so I'm not exactly sure where the recording will be on the website, but we will send we'll send an email out. I'm sure it'll just be wherever our other webinar recordings are, but we'll send it out. Question about how long receipts bills stay on EzzyBills. So most jurisdictions require 7 years. We store for 8 years, and that's irrespective of whether you have a subscription with EzzyBills. So when we process a bill, we store it, and the cost of the processing and storing, that's been paid at the time that we processed it. And so we will store it for 8 years, and you'll have access to it for 8 years, with or without having a valid subscription. And there's also multiple ways of retrieving invoices out of EzzyBills. You can download Excel files with links to them. There's also, we're about to add a feature where you can download a zip file, which would have a hierarchical structure with the year followed by a folder for the supplier, and then the invoices inside there. Another option is through the workflow. We do support the ability to export all your invoices into Google Drive. So you can actually choose a Google Drive somewhere here. Yeah, Google Drive export. So you can actually take your Google Drive export and connect it to your workflow, and we would export the bill into Google Drive after we've processed it. After we pushed it into Xero, we'd put it into Google Drive, and all you would need to do is make sure your Google Drive is connected, which you would do under connections here. You just connect your Google Drive, and then anything going into the Google Drive all the invoices would get dropped there in a folder.